C'est le village de Pala, qui est situé à l'est de Bobo Dioulasso. Ici, dans le village de Pala, nous sommes tous des forgerons. Voilà. Hommes comme femmes, nous sommes des forgerons. C'est un forgeron qui est venu fonder ce village-là. Ses parents les ont rejoints et ils ont formé le village. Si ce n'est pas ici à Pala, si tu tournes tout autour de Bobo Dioulasso, il n'y a pas un chef forgeron, si ce n'est pas ici à Pala. C'est les villages qui sont aux alentours de nous tous travaillent avec leurs outils de fabrication, des dabas, des couteaux, des outils de travaux, des haches, tout ça. C'est ici à Pala qu'ils viennent prendre. Bon, les femmes aussi, elles fournissent des canaries. Bon, le vendredi, vous avez venu trouver ce qu'on faisait là. C'est ça qui est là, le petit funérail. Par exemple, chez nous, ici, au village, si c'est un vieux qui est décédé, donc on fait ses funérailles. Bon, vous avez vu, il y a des masques qui fouettaient quelques gens. Bon, les gens qu'on fouettait là, ce sont les petits-fils du décès là. Étant vivant, les petits-fils jouent avec son grand-père. Aussi décédé, bon, ils viennent jouer aussi dans le chant de son funérail. Bon, si tu vois cette visite a été tirée, bon, cela montre le démarrage de la coutume. C'est ça qui correspond au démarrage de la coutume du funérail. Ça a été fabriqué ici. Ça correspond aux traditions, aux cérémonies du funérail. Ça correspond aux traditions aussi.
Que dans le monde, toute personne a une secret. Comme nous sommes là ici, en train de parler, toute personne a des secrets. Mais il y a des gens qui ont gâté leurs secrets et ils développent tout. Mais ici, chez nous, c'est impossible de faire ça.
Chaque village a ses traditions. Ici, chez nous ici, nous sommes tous des forgerons. Pour nous, c'est très dur que pour les autres. Bon, les petits funérailles, si quelqu'un est décédé, ces petits funérailles, on les déroule en ces temps même. Bon, pour les grandes funérailles, dans l'année là, ceux qui sont décédés et qui sont vieux, c'est leur grande funérailles qu'on fait ensemble. Même si ça dépasse 10, quel que soit le nombre. Ce sont les funérailles qu'on regroupe et puis un seul jour, on fait les grandes funérailles. Voilà. Les petits funérailles, on peut faire ça un à un. C'est ça, il a quitté la brousse pour rejoindre le village pour les cérémonies là.
Mais on ne doit pas développer tout, ni conclure tout. À propos de cela, qu'on ne doit pas développer tout. Que ce sont des secrets aussi, ce sont ces secrets qu'on a fondé le village. Avec ces secrets qu'on a fondé le village, qu'on ne peut pas développer tout. Que ceux qui développent tout, tu ne peux pas faire jusqu'à la fin sans avoir un problème dans ça. Si tu développes tout, à la fin tu auras un problème aussi. Voilà. La religion aussi, tu ne vas pas te laisser. Donc c'est impossible de développer tout. Si tu fais cela aussi, si tu développes tout, la religion aussi ne va pas te laisser. Tu vas rester dans la religion. Quand on dit que la religion, ce n'est pas la religion chrétienne ni la religion musulmane. Non, non. C'est au niveau de la tradition. Voilà. La tradition aussi ne va pas te laisser. Donc, c'est impossible de traduire tout, de développer tout. Non, ni conclure. Voilà. Toute chose a un secret. Quand on dit qu'il y a des secrets, il y a quelque chose qu'on ne peut pas dire là-bas. Et si toi tu dis ça, bon, après, tu auras des problèmes. Toi aussi, la religion aussi ne va pas te laisser. Voilà. C'est ce qu'on pouvait dire de cela.
Samedi était la veille des... que notre coutume n'a pas été changée. On est nés trouvés et ils sont plus âgés que nous. Et ils sont nés trouvés comme ça, on faisait. Même maintenant, c'est comme ça, nous on poursuit. Bon, si tu vois, les gens étaient beaucoup. Il y en a des gens qui sont venus, ils connaissent ce qui est décédé là. Il est venu pour faire ses funérailles. Et puis, il y a des gens qui sont venus de Bobo. Ils sont venus regarder. Bon, comme ici chez nous, bon, si tu n'as pas gâté quelque chose, notre masque ne fouette pas quelqu'un. Donc, ils sont venus pour regarder. Il y en a même qui sont venus et ils sont venus fêter. Pour eux, pour nous, ce sont les funérailles. Mais pour eux, c'est une fête. Bon, il y en a, ils viennent ici, ils prennent l'alcool. Donc il est drogué maintenant, il cherche bagarre partout. Bon. Même nous qui sommes ici, il y en a, on n'est pas au courant de ça. Donc c'est ça que j'ai dit. Bon, pour nous, ce sont des funérailles. Mais pour d'autres, lui, il est venu pour se réjouir, faire la fête. Or que c'est pas ça. Ce sont des mêmes masques, mais chaque village a sa tradition. Donc ce sont les mêmes, mais il y a des traditions différentes. Chaque village a sa tradition, c'est ça qu'ils disent. C'est la danse que les masques d'ici aussi. Chaque village a sa danse différente. Il y a des masques ici aussi chez nous. Il ne peut pas déplacer, même aller à Bobo. Donc c'est dans le village là, il reste seulement. Il ne peut pas déplacer. Toute chose est modernisée maintenant. Bon, même les hommes sont modernisés.
The Bobo people who live in an area around the city of Bobo Dioulasso and to the north into Mali are one of the most important groups of people in Burkina Faso from the point of view of cultural richness, history, and numbers. The Bobo speak a language in the Mande subfamily of the Niger-Congo family of languages. Culturally, they are related to the Bamana, Malinké, and other groups to the west, but not to the Bois or Boaba, or to the Mose and other Voltaic speakers to the east. As one might expect, their art is very different from that of the Voltaic peoples, and much more similar to those of the Mande speakers. The Bobo probably number about 200,000, most in Burkina Faso, but substantial numbers in Mali, south of the Bani River. The Bobo are very heterogeneous. They include farmers and smiths, as well as the numerous Zara, who live primarily in Bobo Dioulasso, and whose oral traditions say they moved into the area in the 16th or 17th century, well after the arrival of the Bobo themselves. Bobo villages are compact, concentrated clusters of rust-red clay houses. They resemble the villages of the Gurunsi and the Bois, and are much more compact than the villages of the Mose. The Bobo, as with almost everyone else in Burkina Faso, do not have a system of centralized political authority. They are completely allergic to any form of power focused in the hands of a single person. There is no authority beyond the lineage or family, and the concept of chiefs is repugnant because it does not reflect the order of things formed by God, Wuro, at the creation. They first resisted the idea of chiefship introduced by the Jula, who moved in among them and then from 1895 resisted the imposition of French colonial power. Bobo resistance was fierce and at times violent. The Bobo, as almost all of the people of Burkina Faso at one time or another, from 1895 to 1940, revolted and fought bravely against the French and their Senegalese mercenaries. They rose against the French in 1914 and killed a few colonial officers in and near Bobo Dioulasso. The French, with field artillery and machine guns, slaughtered them and flattened every Bobo village that had revolted against them. They spared only Kumi because it was so close to Bobo Dioulasso that its people had dared not rise against them. The Bobo, or Bobo Fing in the old literature on Burkina Faso, and the Bois, or Bobo Ole, are two distinct and unrelated people. Early Jula interpreters of the French confused them. There has been endless confusion over the years about the differences between Bobo and Bois masks. Bobo masks do not have red, white, and black circles, squares, and triangles. Bois masks do have them. Bobo masks are stylistically very different from masks made by the Bois, the Grunsi, and the Mosi. The Bobo creator god is Wuro. Wuro almost certainly Red Claude Levi-Strauss, because he created systems of opposition including male, female, village and wilderness, male and female, and more. The sons of Wuro are Dwo, the mask, Sokso, the spirit of the wilderness and of new life, and Quere, the spirit that punishes with lightning and thunder. Only Dwo is represented by masks. All Bobo masks, whether made of leaves, of fiber, of wood, whether owned by farmers or by smiths, represent Dwo. Wuro placed Dwo on earth to help man, and Dwo is the principal manifestation of the power of God in the Bobo world. Wood masks that belong to farmers are called siekele. Smiths must carve the wood masks. The masks of farmers and those of smiths are indistinguishable to the non-Bobo. The basic siekele mask has a very long trapezoidal face, which is vertically bisected by a thin, straight nose. The head is a large spherical helmet, always surmounted by thin, straight horns. The eyes are high at the intersection of the planes of the cheeks and the brow, and the mouth is so low on the chin that it almost disappears. There are many types of siekele. The most common variation is the addition of a long rectangular plank. Two additional characters appear represented by the siekele. They are the buffalo, Tu, with large vertical, flat, spreading horns, and the hornbill, Kuma, with a massive curving beak that projects above the face as well as curving horns. The most sacred smith masks of wood are Molo and Nwenke. Antelope masks called Nyanga and entertainment masks called Bolo accompany them. Both Molo and Nwenke are abstract and stylized rather than representational. Other masks, Nyanga for example, are naturalistic depictions closely resembling large antelopes. The artist assumes great latitude to create new, unusual forms of entertainment masks. A mask with human features may have forward curving horns and a great beak like that of a bird. Funerals in villages east of Bobo Dioulasso display a dozen different types of these entertainment masks, all of which perform on one afternoon. Molo masks have a long rectangular or trapezoidal face. The head is a spherical helmet with a sagittal crest from front to back, edge of the skull. Two long horns project dramatically upward from the helmet, and there is no frontal plank above the face. A small handle of wood beneath the chin provides a grip. The dancer holds the mask on his head during acrobatic performances. The Molo masks in the Huilak collection include the large mask with the impressive Molo with much of the original color intact, another with darker coloring is a very fine example of a molo with unusual massive forward curving horns. The Bobo are legendary in Burkina Faso for their use of masks of wild leaves and of cultivated hemp fibers to represent Dwo. Recently, I have seen masks made of discarded audio cassette tape. Some of these masks appear in towns at the beginning of the dry season, January to May, to sweep the village clean of malevolent spirit forces. Leaf masks are put on early in the morning by the performers with the help of their friends. The performers enter the village from the east with the rising sun and leave by the west side of the village. The leaf masks are cut from the bodies of the performers and burned in the evening. No such mask is known to appear in a private or public collection, but they have been documented through photographs and appear as protective spirits on women's anklets and household objects. Masks made of fibers are more sculptural than masks of leaves, for the fibers are more supple and durable and can be fashioned using basketry techniques into more elaborate shapes. Originally, all such masks were made only of fibers obtained from wild plants, but the Jula introduced the cultivation of the hemp plant Hibiscus cannabinus, which is now used for all such masks. Several types of fiber masks are distinguished by the shape of the head and the color of the fibers. The older, more traditional colors are red, black, and white, but now fiber masks are also dyed yellow, green, and blue. The Bobo use masks in three major contexts. Masks appear at harvest time, in male initiations, and they participate in burials and funerals. The primary context is initiation. Each mask embodies the spirit of Dwo, and as a result may serve frequently during sacrifices as a sort of portable altar of Dwo. Believers may place sacrifices directly on the head of the mask as offerings to the spirits they embody. Because of their close relationship with the natural world and the power of the wilderness, the leaf masks of farmers have an important role to play in the yearly harvest. Smiths use Nwenke masks, singular Nwenka, in initiation. Each of these masks is composed of a very long trapezoidal face with a narrow chin, surmounted by a plank seen fully from the front of the mask. The intersection of the nose and brow form a T, and the brow is protuberant, with the small eyes high at the angle of the nose and brow. The nose is long and bisects the face vertically. The mouth is small and always very low on the face. A sagittal ridge surmounts the heavy helmet shape. The frontal plank is very complex, frequently pierced with triangles so that it appears to be a vertical series of triangular wings that spread horizontally. All Nwenke masks have a plank above their heads. Unlike the Siankale mask of the farmers, the lower right and left corners of the vertical superstructure do not connect to the dome of the helmet. Nwenke masks wear hemp fiber costumes. The Wheelock collection includes an unusually large and extraordinary example with an elaborate and expansive plank and a long trapezoidal face bordered on either side by a deeply serrated ridge. The mask called Nyanga represents a large antelope, Hippotragus coba. A pair of enormous horns curved backward represents a large antelope, Hippotragus coba. A pair of enormous horns curve backward from a large rounded forehead. The snout is elongated and curves forward and down in dramatic balance to the horns. The mouth is open and studded with antelope teeth set in holes along the jaws. The horns banded and the eyes hooded with protruding lids. The Nyango mask in the Wheelock collection is beautifully carved with a large bulbous snout and graceful curving horns. Much of the original and black color is preserved. It is one of the best Bobo antelope masks I have seen in any collection, and in fact I like it so much that I commissioned a copy from an artist in a Bobo village, which now resides proudly in my own home. The Bobo carve entertainment masks called bole, or in the singular bolo. These are helmet masks that rest on the shoulders, or cap masks with short faces. They represent people or numerous animals, including antelopes, rams, monkeys, and roosters. Dancers wear them with hemp fiber costumes. The helmet mask with a crest is a fine example, as is the helmet mask with two small horns. Before the 1960s, Molo, Noike, and Siècle masks were painted exclusively with the traditional colors red, black, and white. Much brighter enamel colors, including yellow, green, red, blue, and silver, have been added to the palette in the past 40 years. Artists apply colors rather roughly in triangles and rectangles that represent magical amulets, sebe. Bobo artists paint the patterns but do not incise or carve them in low relief into the surfaces of the masks, so that very old masks that have been darkened with smoke or scrubbed clean by art dealers show no traces of the original painted patterns. The Bobo repaint their masks at the beginning of each performance season, as do all of the other people in Burkina Faso. Masks made of fibers are more sculptural than masks made of leaves, for the hemp fibers are more supple and durable and can be fashioned using basketry techniques into more elaborate shapes. Originally, all such masks were made only of fibers obtained from wild plants, but the Jula introduced the cultivation of the hemp plant, Hibiscus cannabinus, which is now used for all such masks. Several types of fiber masks are distinguished by the shape of the head and the color of the fibers. The older, more traditional colors are red, black, and white, but now fiber masks are also dyed yellow, green, and blue. The Bobo use masks in three major contexts. Masks appear at harvest time, in male initiations, and they participate in burials and funerals. The primary context is initiation. Each mask embodies the spirit of Duo, and as a result may serve frequently during sacrifices as a sort of portable altar to Duo. Believers may place sacrifices directly on the head of the mask as offerings to the spirits they embody. Because of their close relationship to the natural world and the power of the wilderness, the leaf masks of farmers have an important role to play in yearly harvests. The masks absorb the toxic forces that are present in the newly harvested crops just brought into the village, and return to the bush the forces that cause sickness and conflict in the village, restoring the balance of nature and culture, bush and village, that was established by Wuro. The millet gathered at harvest is one of the original gifts of Wuro, and for man to consume it is an attack on the creations of Wuro and an insult to the creator of life. To cut the millet is to kill it, freeing the spirit that it contains. To allow this spirit to remain in the village is to invite disaster in the form of disease and infertility. The masks clean the millet so that humans can safely eat it, returning to the bush the dangerous spirits and asking forgiveness from Wuro through appropriate sacrifices. This function is very similar to the use of masks by other Mande peoples, particularly the Bamana in Mali, where Ndoma masks also strip this toxic spiritual force from newly harvested grain. Among the Bobo, initiation takes place over a period of up to 15 years. The elders explain the stories of creation in several steps. Masks play an essential role in initiation because they reestablish and reinforce the cosmic order created by Wuro and restore the balance and the rhythms of the natural world and of the community. Important ceremonies punctuate each of the new steps of the initiation, when the initiates dance with several types of masks. During the first step, the boys learn that the mask performer is a man. Next, the boys eat the leaves of the mask, an important basic step that represents the absorption of the mass spirit. The boys also begin to learn the initiatory language. The initiators whip the boys on many occasions, particularly when they return from the village to the place of the masks where they undergo their training. These beatings serve to demonstrate to the initiates that knowledge does not come without suffering and courage. Resocialized into the life of the community at the end of the first period of training, the initiates begin helping with sacrifices and traditional festivals. Creating parts of the mass and wearing certain masks is a privilege of initiation. This stage lasts for several years. The second step in initiation includes tests of endurance, cooperative labor in clearing the bush for planting, and a long period of seclusion in the bush to gather the wood and game necessary for the graduation celebration. Every time the boys leave or return to the village, they undergo battles with masks that beat them severely. During the second step, the boys are symbolically killed as children and then reborn as adults. When the date of the initiation itself is set, the young men retreat to the bush to make the fiber masks. This requires about a month. The women of the community prepare enormous quantities of millet beer, which will be consumed during the final celebration. The occasions, particularly when they return from the village to the place of the masks where they undergo their training. These beatings serve to demonstrate to the initiates that knowledge does not come without suffering and courage. Resocialized into the life of the community at the end of the first period of training, the initiates begin helping with sacrifices and traditional festivals. Creating parts of the mass and wearing certain masks is a privilege of initiation. This stage lasts for several years. A communal meal follows, attended by numerous guests from related villages, confirming the unity of the ethnic group. The third stage focuses on the secret language and includes new rites of initiation. The initiates learn about the origins of masks, the legends of the ancestors and supernatural beings, and the accounts of historic events. The young men must then demonstrate their mastery of the initiatory language, reciting myths and legends throughout the entire night. By the fourth and final stage, the initiates are between 25 and 30 years old, and the initiation has essentially been completed. The senior men transfer the wood mask to the initiates at this stage. The initiates prepare the masks and dance, and the same ceremony is repeated 2 or 3 years in succession. The initiates are finally accepted as adults. There is a strong bond between masks and ancestors, as among Voltaire peoples to the east. Some Bobo peoples believe that the spirit of the deceased is accompanied on the journey into the afterlife by a mask, and that the spirit of the dead may take up temporary residence in a mask. At funeral ceremonies, masks have 2 functions. They escort the deceased to the tombs at burials, and they send the spirits on the road to the world of ancestors. Masks of wood in southern Bobo country appear at the funerals of all elders, male or female, where they destroy the wood funeral biers that represent the deceased, freeing their souls to travel the long, smooth road to the Black Volta River, the Muhun, the land of the dead. The key moment of the funeral is the arrival of the wood mass at the grave, around which they seat themselves in a circle and receive offerings of millet beer. Whether farmers or smiths, elaborate funerals are held exclusively for elders, male or female, the heads of lineages, and their wives.